I am Isabella Harper, the woman who was once thrown out into a snowstorm by the man I loved most while carrying three tiny lives inside me. And then, just a few years later, stood on a blazing stage with my children, leading an AI orchestra that moved the hearts of 3,000 people. I still remember that moment in a Seattle boardroom when my AI system exposed every ounce of emotional conflict in Lucas, the man who had abandoned me, right in front of a table full of executives and his own father. The entire room held its breath, waiting to see what I would do next. Before I share the full story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments, hit the like button, and subscribe if you've ever overcome the impossible. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The ice on Lake Michigan looked like broken glass under the streetlights. I remember thinking how beautiful it was, even as my fingers went numb around my violin case. That was the night everything changed, though I didn't know it yet. "Play something else," Lucas said, swirling his whiskey. "Something just for me." I was 24, working the late shift at the Blue Note, one of those upscale lounges where rich people went to feel cultured. My official job was bartending, but the owner let me play violin between mixing martinis. 4 years at the conservatory, and this was where I'd ended up. My mother would have been heartbroken. Lucas Moretti had been coming in for weeks, son of Illinois' biggest tech mogul, with that kind of casual wealth that made him wear $1,000 shoes like they were sneakers. But he was different from the others, or so I thought. He actually listened when I played. Really listened. "What do you want to hear?" I asked, already knowing he'd say, "Surprise me." I chose Massenet's Meditation, my mother's favorite. As the first notes filled the smoky air, I saw something shift in his eyes. When I finished, he was standing right there at the small stage. "Have dinner with me. I don't date customers. Then I'll stop being a customer." 6 months later, I was living in his Gold Coast penthouse, my secondhand furniture looking ridiculous next to his Italian leather. But I was happy. God, I was so happy. He'd introduced me to his friends as my brilliant musician, bought me a new violin case, even talked about funding my own album. The morning I found out about the pregnancy, Chicago was buried under 2 feet of snow. I'd been feeling off for weeks but attributed it to stress. The test showed positive immediately. Then the second one, then the third. My hands shook as I called my doctor. "Twins," she said after the ultrasound. "Congratulations, Isabella." Twins. 2 little lives growing inside me. I drove home through the blizzard, imagining Lucas's face when I told him. Would he want boys? Girls? Would they have his dark eyes or my green ones? I'd planned it perfectly. His favorite dinner, candles, the wine I wouldn't be drinking for 9 months sitting by his plate. When he walked in, I couldn't wait. "Lucas, I have something wonderful to tell you." His face went from curious to cold in seconds. "You're pregnant." "How did you—" "The pharmacy called about your prenatal prescription. My assistant took the message." The way he said it, like I'd been caught stealing. My stomach turned. "Lucas, we're having twins, isn't that—" "No." He set down his briefcase with deliberate calm. "No, Isabella, this isn't happening." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm running for alderman next year." "My father has plans." "A pregnant girlfriend who plays violin in bars isn't part of those plans." Girlfriend. After 6 months of living together, I was still just the girlfriend. "These are your children, are they?" His voice was ice. "How do I even know they're mine?" The slap of those words hit harder than any physical blow could have. I stood there, my special dinner growing cold, watching the man I loved turn into a stranger. He pulled out his checkbook. "There's a clinic on Madison, very discreet. I'll make the appointment. I'm keeping them. Then you're on your own." He wrote a number that made my eyes blur, not from gratitude, but from rage. "This should cover things. I'll need you out by the end of the week." I tore the check in half, then quarters, then smaller pieces until my fingers couldn't manage anymore. "Bella, don't be stupid. You can't raise 2 kids alone. You can barely take care of yourself. Watch me." That night, I packed everything I owned back into the same 3 suitcases I'd brought. My mother's violin, my father's old letters. 6 months of dreams crumbled into nothing. As I waited for the taxi, snow falling like ash around me, I felt the first flutter of movement in my belly. "It's okay," I whispered to them. "We don't need him. We have each other." The cab pulled up, and I didn't look back. The Greyhound to Detroit smelled like desperation and fried chicken. I found a seat near the back, my violin case clutched against my chest like armor. Outside, Chicago disappeared into the darkness, each mile taking me further from my mistakes. "You running from something or to something?" The woman across the aisle had kind eyes and worn hands, a mother's hands. "Both, I guess." She nodded, like that made perfect sense. "I ran once. Best thing I ever did." I wanted to tell her everything. About Lucas, about the twins, about how I'd given up Juilliard scholarships to chase a man who saw me as an inconvenience. Instead, I closed my eyes and let the bus rock me into memory. My mother had taught me violin in our tiny Detroit kitchen, her hands guiding mine on the strings. "Music is honesty," she'd say. "You can't lie with a violin." She died when I was 15, leaving me with perfect pitch and a father who remarried within 6 months. Detroit Station. I jerked awake. Dawn was breaking over the city I'd sworn I'd never return to. But Margaret was waiting, just like she'd promised when I'd called her crying from a Chicago gas station. "Isabella Harper, you look like hell." "Thanks, Mrs. M. It's just Margaret now. Come on, let's get you home." Her music shop hadn't changed. Same dusty windows, same bell that played a broken C sharp when you opened the door. She led me up narrow stairs to the apartment above. "It's not much. It's perfect." And it was. One room with a fold-out bed, a hot plate, and a view of the alley. After Lucas's penthouse, it felt real. "When are you due?" "June." I set down my bags, suddenly exhausted. "Margaret, I should tell you, it's twins." Her eyebrows shot up, but she just nodded. "Well then, we'd better find you a doctor, and a job." That first week, I walked every street in downtown Detroit, my growing belly hidden under my winter coat. The conservatory degree that had seemed so valuable in Chicago meant nothing here. Too qualified for retail, not qualified enough for offices. "What about performing?" Margaret suggested one evening as we sorted through donated instruments. "I can't even see my feet anymore. Who's going to hire a pregnant violinist?" "You'd be surprised." She pulled out a yellowed business card. "Ricky's Cafe. They do live music Thursday through Saturday. The pay's terrible, but it's something." That's when she showed me the violin. It was tucked behind a stack of broken guitars, the case held together with duct tape. Inside lay an amati, its varnish cracked but still gleaming. "This was left here 20 years ago," Margaret said. "The owner never came back." "An amati? Margaret, this is worth—" "I know what it's worth, but it's broken. See?" She pointed to a crack along the ribs. "Been meaning to fix it, but—" I lifted it carefully, feeling the weight of centuries in my hands. Even damaged, it sang with potential. "Can I try?" The sound that came out was broken but beautiful, like hearing a ghost whisper. Something shifted in my chest. Not the baby's, something deeper. That weekend, I played my audition at Ricky's with my student violin, but I thought about the amati the whole time. The owner, Rick Chen, hired me on the spot. "When are you due?" "June." "Can you play until then?" "I'll play until they're crowning," he laughed. "Thursday nights are yours." My first prenatal appointment in Detroit brought a shock that made my knees buckle. "Triplets," Dr. Williams said, pointing at the ultrasound screen. "See? 3 distinct heartbeats." "But in Chicago, they said twins." "The third one was hiding. It happens sometimes." She squeezed my hand. "I know it's overwhelming." Overwhelming. I was 24, single, living above a music shop and carrying triplets. I laughed until I cried, then cried until I laughed again. That night, I started a journal. "To my 3 little ones, today I learned there are 3 of you. I'm terrified. I'm broke. I'm alone. But I promise you this. You will never doubt that you're wanted. You will never wonder if you're loved." I may not be able to give you penthouses or trust funds, but I'll give you everything I have. All my love, Mom. The Amati watched from the corner, waiting, just like me. By March, I looked like I'd swallowed a basketball. Playing violin at Ricky's required creative positioning. Standing sideways, the instrument held higher than normal. The customers didn't seem to mind. Tips were good, especially from the older couples who remembered what it was like to struggle. You should sit, Rick said every night. I'm fine, I'd answer, even though my back screamed and my feet had swollen beyond recognition. Daniel Cortez started coming in during my second month. He always sat at the same corner table, laptop open, coffee growing cold while he coded. Software engineer, I figured, the type who forgot to eat when deep in a project. One night, the cafe's ordering system crashed mid-shift. Rick was panicking. Saturday night, full house, no way to track orders. I waddled over to the register, remembering the coding Lucas had shown me when he was building his campaign website. Mind if I look? It took 20 minutes to find the bug and fix it. When orders started flowing again, I found Daniel standing beside me. That was impressive. Just basic debugging. Nothing basic about it. You have a logical mind. He studied me with curious eyes. I'm working on something that might interest you. AI that interprets emotional patterns in music. Could use someone who understands both code and composition. I'm a little busy growing 3 humans. Part-time, remote, work whenever you can. He handed me his card. Think about it. I thought about it constantly. My savings were disappearing faster than ice in July. Ricky's paid barely enough for groceries. But coding? While pregnant with triplets? Margaret made the decision for me. You'd be an idiot not to try. So I started spending mornings at Daniel's startup, Effective Sound, testing their emotion recognition software. The AI could identify basic patterns, major keys, reading as happy, minor as sad, but it missed nuance. It's too literal, I explained during a team meeting, my belly serving as a convenient desk for my notes. Human emotion in music isn't just about keys. It's about tempo changes, unexpected harmonies, the spaces between notes. So how do we teach it subtlety? I thought about the Amati, about broken things that still sang. You don't teach it rules. You teach it to feel. They looked skeptical until I demonstrated. I played a piece in a major key that sounded devastating, then a minor key composition that felt triumphant. The AI read them backwards. We need to rebuild the algorithm, Daniel said. Start from scratch. I might have some ideas. Those ideas consumed me. Between playing at Ricky's and growing 3 babies, I rewrote code, restructured databases, taught machines to hear what humans felt. It was like composing in a new language. April arrived with unexpected warmth. I was leaving the cafe when the first contraction hit. Just Braxton Hicks, I told myself. But they kept coming. Waves of pressure that made me grip the doorframe. You okay, honey? A customer asked. Fine, I lied, then called Margaret. Dr. Williams met us at the hospital. You're in labor. We need to stop it. 32 weeks is too early for triplets. They pumped me full of medications that made my heart race. For 3 days, I lay in that hospital bed, monitors tracking 4 heartbeats, willing my body to hold on. Talk to them, the nurse suggested. Sometimes it helps. So I did. I told them about their grandmother who taught me violin, about the Amati waiting to be fixed, about the AI learning to feel, about everything they'd see and do and become. The contractions stopped. Bed rest, Dr. Williams ordered. Complete bed rest until delivery. But my job can wait. These babies can't. Daniel brought my laptop to the hospital. Code from bed, we need you. So I did. Between blood pressure checks and ultrasounds, I refined algorithms. My room became mission control for Effective Sound, nurses stepping around cables and equipment. Margaret visited daily, bringing real food and gossip from the music shop. One afternoon, she set a familiar case on my bed. The Amati? I had it repaired. Thought you might want to play for the babies. The violin sang differently now. Fuller, richer, like it had been holding its breath for decades. I played softly, feeling 3 distinct patterns of movement in response. They were listening. "Have you picked names?" Margaret asked. I had, secretly, superstitiously. Aria, lyric, and harmony. Musicians, then. Maybe, or maybe scientists, or maybe both. I touched my belly. They can be whatever they want. They just have to survive first. Week 35, then 36. Each day, a small victory. Each night, a prayer answered. The AI learned. The babies grew. And I waited, suspended between worlds, for everything to change again. May in Detroit came with thunderstorms and miracles. I was reviewing code when Dr. Williams burst in. "We need to deliver. Now." "But I'm only 37 weeks. Your blood pressure's spiking. Ore's ready." Everything accelerated. Papers to sign, IVs to place, Margaret rushing in just as they wheeled me away. The last thing I remember was counting ceiling tiles and thinking how I'd never finished debugging the emotion recognition module. I woke to the sound of crying. Not one voice, a chorus. "Congratulations," the nurse smiled. 3 perfect girls. They brought them to me one at a time. Aria came first, dark hair and suspicious eyes. Then Lyric, who gripped my finger like she'd never let go. Finally, a harmony, smallest but loudest, announcing her presence to the world. 4 pounds 2 ounces, 4 pounds exactly, and 3 pounds 14 ounces, Dr. Williams reported. Small but fierce. I tried to memorize their faces, but exhaustion pulled me under. When I woke again, Daniel was there, laptop balanced on his knees. "Sorry," he said, "but I had to show you. Look what the AI did." On the screen, waveforms danced. The system had analyzed the recording of my daughter's first cries and identified distinct emotional patterns in each voice. "They're all different," he said, excited. 3 sisters, same DNA, completely different emotional signatures. This proves our theory about individual emotional expression being... Daniel? Right. New mom. Bad timing. But he was grinning. "They're beautiful, Bella." The NICU became my world. Tiny beds, tinier humans, machines that beeped warnings I learned to interpret. Aria struggled to breathe. Lyric forgot to eat. Harmony did both, but screamed about it. I pumped milk every 3 hours, held them skin to skin when allowed, sang lullabies in 3-part harmony. The nurses called me the music mom, said the girls' vitals improved when I hummed. Margaret brought the Amati. "Play for them." "I can't. Not here." The NICU director approved it. Something about music therapy. So I played, softly, carefully, watching monitors for any distress, but their heart rate steadied, oxygen levels improved. Even the other babies seemed calmer. "Whatever you're doing," the nurse said, "keep doing it." 2 weeks, 3, Aria came off oxygen. Lyric figured out eating. Harmony discovered she could grab things and refused to let go. I lived in that hospital, coding between feedings, playing violin during the 3 a.m. quiet hours. "I have a proposition," Daniel said one evening. He'd been visiting daily, bringing food and algorithm updates. "Be my co-founder, officially." "Daniel, I have 3 newborns. And a brilliant mind. The improvements you've made... Bella, we could change how the world understands emotional AI. Think about what that could mean for your girls." Co-founder, equity, a real salary instead of contractor wages. "I can't work normal hours. Work any hours, work from home. Hell, work from the NICU. I don't care as long as you keep solving problems like you have been." "Why?" I had to ask. "Why take a chance on me?" He thought for a moment. "My mother raised 4 kids alone after my father died. Cleaned offices at night, studied English during the day. Now she's a teacher. I watched her build impossible things from nothing." He met my eyes. I recognize a builder when I see one. The night before discharge, I sat between their beds, overwhelmed. 3 car seats waited by the door. Margaret had baby-proofed the apartment, but how did you baby-proof a life? "You'll figure it out," the night nurse said, reading my panic. "Mothers always do." "Did you have multiples?" "Twins. They're 16 now. One wants to be a doctor, the other a DJ." She laughed. "Some days I still don't know what I'm doing, but love fills the gaps." Discharge day. May 28th, a Tuesday that felt like New Year's and Doomsday combined. Margaret drove while I sat in back, a baby carrier in each hand and one at my feet. Every pothole made me check if they were breathing. The apartment looked different. 3 cribs where the couch had been, changing station by the window, bottles sterilizing on the hot plate. Real life, not the abstract future I'd imagined. That first night alone, all 3 cried in sequence, like they'd choreographed it. I heated bottles, changed diapers, rocked and sang until my voice cracked. At 4 a.m., defeated, I set them in a row on my bed and played the Amati. They stopped crying. "Okay," I whispered, "we can do this, but you have to help Mama out." Aria yawned. Lyric burped. Harmony grabbed my hair. It was a start. 3 years passed in a blur of code, diapers, and melodies. My days began at 4 a.m., not because I chose to, but because Harmony had decided that was morning. I'd feed them, dress 3 wiggling bodies, then open my laptop while they played. Effective sound had evolved into Harmonia Tech. Our breakthrough came when I realized emotions in music weren't just patterns. They were conversations. The AI learned to respond, to build on what it heard, to create soundscapes that matched and enhanced human feeling. "Mama, musica," Lyric demanded, pointing at my violin. They'd grown into distinct little humans. Aria, thoughtful and careful, would arrange her toys in perfect patterns. Lyric, the performer, sang constantly, mostly off-key but with enthusiasm. Harmony had inherited something else entirely. She'd watch me code and try to type, fascinated by cause and effect. "We need to meet with investors," Daniel announced one morning. "Real ones, Silicon Valley." "I can't leave the girls." "Bring them, we'll make it work." But it wasn't California calling. A week later, an email arrived that made my coffee cup shake. Everon Systems, Seattle. Interested in acquiring Harmonia Tech. Preliminary offer, $50 million. I stared at the signature. Marcus Everon, CEO, Lucas's father. "We have to take the meeting," Daniel said. "This could set us and your girls for life." I knew he was right, but Everon Systems meant Lucas. Lucas meant confronting everything I'd run from. "Mama sad?" Aria touched my face with sticky fingers. "No, baby. Mama's thinking." "Think happy," she instructed, with the authority only a 3-year-old could muster. The meeting was set for September. I had 2 months to prepare, not just the presentation, but myself. I bought my first real suit since Chicago, practiced my pitch until the girls could recite it. "What's an algorithm?" Harmony asked. "It's like a recipe for computers." "Can we eat it?" "No, but it can make music." "Oh." She considered this. Boring. If only she knew. The flight to Seattle felt like traveling back in time. 3 car seats, 6 carry-ons, and a violin made us quite the spectacle. Lyric charmed the flight attendants while Aria read her picture book and Harmony systematically destroyed the in-flight magazine. Everon's headquarters pierced the Seattle skyline like a glass needle. In the lobby, I saw him immediately. Lucas, older now, grayer at the temples, wearing a suit that cost more than my car. He saw the girls first. His face went white. "Isabella." "Mr. Moretti." I kept my voice steady. "These are my daughters." Aria hid behind my leg. Lyric waved. Harmony stared at him like he was a puzzle to solve. "There." He couldn't finish. "Late for our meeting." I gathered my girls and walked past him. The boardroom was intimidating. 20 executives waiting to dissect our work. I set up while Margaret, who'd flown out to help, corralled the girls in a corner with coloring books. "Harmonia Tech represents the future of emotional AI," I began. "We don't just recognize feelings, we respond to them." I launched the demonstration. The system analyzed the room's ambient emotional state, tension, curiosity, skepticism, and created a subtle soundscape that shifted the atmosphere. Shoulders relaxed. Faces softened. "Impressive," Marcus Everon said. "But can it handle complex emotional states?" This was my moment. "Let's find out. Daniel?" He started the live analysis. Every person in the room appeared as a colored dot on the screen, emotions reading in real time. Most showed variations of professional interest, except one. Lucas's dot pulsed erratically. Guilt, fear, anger, and something else. Regret? As you can see, I said, highlighting his data point, the system can identify emotional conflict. This particular subject shows signs of deception and internal struggle. In a therapeutic setting, this could indicate, turn it off. Lucas stood abruptly. Is there a problem, Mr. Moretti? His father's voice was ice. This is invasive. It's innovative, Marcus finished. Sit down. But Lucas was rattled. As I continued the presentation, his emotional signature grew more erratic. The AI, doing exactly what we'd programmed it to do, began creating a soundscape to calm him. Minor keys, slow tempo, mathematical precision in its compassion. He broke. I can't do this. He looked at his father. I need to tell you something. The room held its breath. Those children, they're... We know, Marcus said quietly. We've known for months. Did you think we wouldn't investigate before a $50 million acquisition? The twist hit everyone differently. Board members shifted uncomfortably. Lucas crumbled, and I stood there, my daughter's futures hanging in the balance, waiting to see which way the scales would tip. Miss Harper, Marcus said finally, shall we discuss terms? The negotiations took 3 days. Everon's lawyers filled one side of the table, Daniel and our single attorney on the other. I'd parked the girls with Margaret at the hotel, but my mind stayed split between valuations and snack schedules. $50 million is our initial offer, Marcus stated, for all patents, algorithms, and intellectual property. No. The word surprised everyone, including me. We keep the core patents. You can license them. Ms. Harper, my daughter drew this. I pulled out Harmony's crayon sketch. Scribbles she'd made while watching me code. She's 3. Someday she might want to build on what her mother created. I won't sell her inheritance. Lucas hadn't returned after the first day. His absence felt louder than his presence. $25 million for exclusive licensing rights, Marcus countered, plus royalties. And our team stays intact, Daniel added. No layoffs. Back and forth, clause by clause. At night, I'd return to find my girls asleep in a pile on the hotel bed, Margaret reading in the chair. How bad was it? Harmony tried to reprogram the TV remote. Lyric performed a concert for the entire lobby. Aria organized the minibar by size and color. So a normal day. On the final morning, Lucas was waiting by the elevator. We need to talk. No, we don't. Bella, please. He looked exhausted. Just 5 minutes. I checked my watch. You have 3. He led me to an empty conference room. The Seattle skyline stretched behind him, all gray clouds and possibility. I'm sorry. For which part? Calling me a gold digger? Trying to force an abortion or pretending we never happened? All of it. He sat heavily. I was 28 and terrified. My father had my whole life planned. Law school, city council, eventually Congress. A family with the right woman. And I was wrong. You were everything right. That terrified me more. He pulled out his phone, showing me a photo. I hired a private investigator. I know that's creepy, but I had to know if I have pictures of them, of you. Screenshots of my girls at the park, at the grocery store, getting on the school bus. My skin crawled. You stalked us? I wanted to know they were okay. That you were okay. He laughed bitterly. Then you walk in here with this brilliant company, our daughters speaking 3 languages. 2, Lyric makes up the 3rd. And I realized I'm the one who wasn't okay. What do you want, Lucas? To know them, to help. They don't need your help. We've done fine without you. Have you? Really? He gestured around the expensive conference room. You're here because you need this deal. Let me make it easier. I'll recommend approval, push it through. In exchange, you want to buy your way into their lives? I want a chance to earn my way in. I stood to leave. My daughters aren't for sale. Wait. He pulled out an envelope. This isn't about the deal. It's about your mother. Inside were photographs. My mother, young, playing violin at what looked like Carnegie Hall, programs from concerts I'd never known about, reviews calling her a rising star. How? My investigator found these. There's more. Your mother was Elena Volkov before she was Elena Harper. She gave up a career with the Moscow Symphony to defect. She was pregnant. With me. Your father wasn't your biological father, Bella. Your real father was... Stop. The room spun. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know where your talent comes from, where their talent comes from. He gestured helplessly. Because maybe if you can forgive your mother for keeping secrets, you can forgive me for being a coward. I left him there with his revelations and manipulations. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face and called Margaret. How are my girls? Teaching the concierge to sing row, row, row your boat in rounds. How are you? Surviving. We close in an hour. Bella, you sound strange. Just tired. Kiss them for me. I returned to find the contracts ready. $25 million upfront, 5% royalties, all patents retained by Harmonia Tech. Daniel was grinning. The lawyers were shaking hands. One condition, Marcus said as I sat. You relocate to Seattle. We want you heading our new emotional AI division. I thought of Detroit, of Ricky's cafe, of the tiny apartment above Margaret's shop. Then I thought of my girls' futures. We'll need good schools. The best. And housing assistance. Done. And Lucas stays away from my daughters until they're old enough to decide for themselves. Marcus glanced at his son's empty chair. Agreed. I signed my name 3 times, each signature worth millions. But all I could think about was my mother, playing concerts in Moscow, carrying secrets I'd never know. We moved to Seattle in October. Everon had found us a house in Queen Anne, nothing fancy, just 4 bedrooms and a yard where the girls could play. The Amati hung on the wall like a guardian angel. My new office overlooked Elliott Bay, Director of Emotional AI Development. The title felt surreal. My team included 12 engineers, 3 neuroscientists, and Daniel as Chief Technical Officer. Mama's important now, Arya observed, watching me pack lunchboxes in my suit. Mama was always important, I corrected. Now she just has a fancier desk. The girls adjusted to Seattle like they'd been born to reign. Arya started pre-K at a Montessori school, Lyric joined a children's choir, and Harmony somehow convinced the building's security guard to teach her coding basics. Work consumed me. We were developing something revolutionary, AI that could predict emotional crises before they happened, create personalized therapeutic soundscapes, even help autism spectrum children understand social cues through music. But Lucas haunted the building like a ghost. I'd catch glimpses in the elevator across the cafeteria. He kept his distance as promised, but his presence was a constant reminder. Then, in November, everything exploded. Bella, you need to see this. Daniel burst into my office, laptop in hand. Someone sent this to the Seattle Times. The screen showed internal Everon documents. Classified contracts with data brokers. Personal information from our emotional AI being sold to marketing firms, insurance companies, even foreign governments. Lucas's signature on every page. This can't be real. It gets worse. Look at the dates. The deals went back 2 years, long before our acquisition. Lucas had been planning to steal our technology the moment he learned about it. We have to tell Marcus. Tell me what? Marcus stood in my doorway, face carved from stone. He'd already seen. Conference room, now, both of you. The emergency board meeting felt like a tribunal. Lucas sat at the far end, lawyers flanking him like bodyguards. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Explain, Marcus commanded. Lucas's lawyer spoke instead. Mr. Moretti was exploring potential revenue streams. He was selling user data illegally, I interrupted. Emotional profiles of vulnerable people. Do you understand what someone could do with that information? Prove it, the lawyer challenged. I opened my laptop. Every transaction leaves a trace. Our AI doesn't just analyze, it remembers. I pulled up the forensic trail. Here's Lucas accessing our beta database. Here's him downloading profiles. Here's the cryptocurrency transfer from Beijing. The room erupted. Board members shouted over each other. Marcus's face had gone from stone to ash. You used my grandchildren's technology to spy on people? He stood slowly. My son sold souls for profit? Father, it's not. Security, escort Mr. Moretti out. Legal, prepare termination papers. Marcus turned to me. Miss Harper, what do you need to fix this? Full access to all systems, authority to notify affected users, and I took a breath. I want to buy back Harmonia Tech. Silence. The licensing deal gives us right of first refusal if Everon violates terms, Daniel added. This is a violation. Name your price, Marcus said quietly. $1. Excuse me? $1 for Harmonia Tech. In exchange, we continue the legitimate partnership, void all of Lucas's deals, and use our technology to identify everyone affected by the breach. I met his eyes. You keep your company's reputation, we keep our independence. Marcus extended his hand. Deal. Lucas exploded. You can't do this. I have rights. You have nothing. Marcus's voice could have frozen fire. You're fired. Your trust fund is frozen pending investigation, and if you come near Miss Harper or my grandchildren again, I'll handle you myself. Security dragged Lucas out, still shouting about lawsuits and revenge. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no pity, just tired. There's more, Marcus said once the room cleared, about your mother. I tensed. Lucas hired investigators, yes, but I hired better ones. He handed me a thick folder. Elena Volkov was my wife's cousin. She helped Elena escape Moscow, find your father, start over. His eyes softened. In a way, we're family. You knew? This whole time? I suspected when I first saw you. You have her eyes, her way of holding a violin. He smiled sadly. I should have stopped Lucas years ago. I'm sorry. That night, I sat with my girls, the folder unopened on the coffee table. Mama, why are you sad? Lyric climbed into my lap. Just thinking about Grandma. The one in heaven? Yes, baby. She watches us, Arya said, matter-of-factly. That's what Margaret says. Harmony pointed at the folder. What's that? Stories about Grandma. Read them. So I did. We spent the evening learning about Elena Volkov, the violinist who gave up fame for freedom, who taught her daughter that music was honesty. The circle was complete. 5 years later, the Seattle Symphony Hall was sold out. 3,000 people waiting to hear the debut of Harmonia Tech's latest creation, an AI orchestra that performed with human musicians, each piece unique to the audience's collective emotional state. Mama, I can't find my shoes. Lyric, now 8, had inherited my talent for losing things under pressure. Check under Arya's bed, I called, adjusting my gown. Harmony, stop reprogramming the stage lights. I'm improving them, Harmony protested, tablet in hand. They're fine as is. Arya, help your sister. Arya, ever the responsible one, had already found the shoes and was braiding Lyric's hair. My girls had grown into remarkable humans, each brilliant in her own way. Harmonia Tech occupied 3 floors of a downtown high-rise now. We employed 200 people, had partnerships with hospitals worldwide, and our therapeutic AI had helped thousands process trauma through music. The company was valued at $1.2 billion. But tonight wasn't about money. 5 minutes, Miss Harper, the stage manager called. I picked up the Amati, fully restored now and insured for more than my first house. It had become the symbol of our journey. Broken things made beautiful again. Ready, girls? They would join me for the finale. Arya on piano, Lyric singing, Harmony conducting the AI orchestra through her tablet. We'd practiced for months. The hall lights dimmed. I walked on stage to thunderous applause. In the front row sat Margaret, tears already flowing. Behind her, Daniel with his wife and children, my team, my family, and in the back, barely visible in the shadows, Lucas. Marcus had told me he'd been in therapy, working minimum wage, trying to rebuild his life. He'd written letters, hundreds of them, that I'd never opened. But when he'd asked to attend tonight, I'd said yes. The girls deserved to see their father, even from a distance. Ladies and gentlemen, I began. 5 years ago, I stood in a Seattle boardroom and refused to sell my daughter's inheritance. Tonight, I want to show you what we've built instead. I raised the violin. The first notes of my mother's favorite piece filled the hall. Meditation from Thais. But as I played, the AI listened, analyzed the audience's emotional response, and began adding harmonies no human could have written. The music became a living thing, breathing with 3,000 souls. Someone in the audience was grieving. The AI wove comfort into the melody. Another felt joy. Celebration sparkled through the percussion. Each emotion was acknowledged, honored, transformed into sound. When my girls joined me, the audience gasped. Aria's piano grounded us in classical tradition. Lyric's voice soared with impossible purity. And Harmony, my little programmer, conducted the AI with gestures that made algorithms dance. We played for 20 minutes that felt like forever and an instant. The final note hung in the air like a promise. Silence. Then, eruption. The audience leaped to their feet. Flowers rained onto the stage. My girls bowed like they'd been doing this all their lives. "Mama, we did it!" Lyric shouted over the applause. "No, baby, you did it." The reception afterward was a blur of congratulations and champagne I couldn't drink. Not because I was pregnant this time, but because I wanted to remember everything. "Miss Harper?" A young woman approached, nervous. "I'm Sarah Chen. The AI therapy program saved my life after my accident. I just wanted to say thank you." Stories like hers had become common. Our technology helped stroke victims relearn speech through rhythm, guided autism spectrum children through social situations, gave voice to those who'd lost theirs. "Bella!" I turned to find Lucas, older, humbler, holding a small wrapped box. "Security." "It's okay," I waved them off. "Hello, Lucas." "I won't stay, This is for them. For their birthday next month." He set down the box. "And this is for you." An envelope. Inside, a single photo. My mother and his, young women laughing at some long-ago party. They knew each other? At university, before everything. He almost smiled. Seems we were connected before we ever met. "Lucas, I know I have no right to ask, but someday when they're older, if they want to know about my side of their family." He handed me a card. "I'll be around." He left before I could respond. Inside the box were 3 items: a vintage coding manual for Harmony, a microphone from Abbey Road Studios for Lyric and for Aria, a first edition of Beethoven's piano sonatas. Perfect choices. He'd been paying attention from afar. "Who was that?" Aria asked, appearing at my side. "Someone from Mama's past." "Is he why you were sad before?" My perceptive girl. "Yes. But you're not sad now?" I looked around the hall, at my daughters, my chosen family, the empire we'd built from heartbreak. "No, baby, I'm not sad now." As we left, snow began falling, the first of the season. My girls ran ahead, catching snowflakes and laughing. I followed slowly, the Amati case in one hand, their futures in the other, ready for whatever symphony came next. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. "Bella, the Moscow Conservatory has found recordings of your mother's performances. They want to release an album. Elena Volkov, The Lost Years. They need your permission. There's more. Your biological father is alive. A composer in Vienna never knew you existed. The choice is yours. Marcus." I set down the letter and picked up my violin. Somewhere, my girls were laughing. Somewhere, code was becoming music. Somewhere, broken things were learning to sing. The symphony wasn't over. It was just beginning.